let's talk about the changes that are coming to Season 9. We've already discussed the Arenas mode. We have discussed Valkyrie quite a bit. The Bowcheck Bow. It's a precision marksman weapon that rewards a skilled and confident hand. Holding down fire will draw the bow over a short time, increasing the power of the shot, with maximum power giving optimal damage at speed. Repeatedly firing the Bowcheck right as it reaches max power provides the best sustained damage. Arrows, those are rare on the battlefield. They stick in surfaces and remain in the world for players to pick back up and reuse. And uses all the sights up to 3x. So that's the Bowcheck. And it also includes Shattercaps and Deadeye's Tempo. We talked about the map updates quite a bit already. Here are the loot changes. Players will now start with a starter kit consisting of level 1 Evo Shield, Helmet, and Knockdown Shield, plus 2 shield cells and syringes each. So you're not starting at true scratch anymore. This is an update that a lot of people have been wanting to see. I'm not actually one of them, but I'm not upset to see this. It's just going to be a significant change in how the game's played. You will not be running around unable to find a level 1 body shield, and that's going to make people a lot more willing to engage in some risky maneuvers right off the drop. You're going to spend a lot less time looking for these things on the ground. As a result, level 1 helmets and knockdown shields are no longer in the loot pool. Spawn chances for level 1 Evo shields have been significantly reduced. Along with the lowered or removed spawn chances for these items, we've balanced the loot pool such that higher level versions of the items will appear nearly the same as they do now, but other item types will appear more often, like weapons, ordnance, health. So that's exciting for a lot of players. A lot of players have said that this game would improve if they weren't scrambling to find the most basic gear in the game. Just gave it to everybody, took out the need to search for it. Well, hey, now we're going to see how it plays. As far as the dev note goes on that, we've wanted to take a crack at improving the loot game for a while, with our design goals being to make picking up loot feel more impactful to the game and to thin out our loot a bit in general, since we're always adding new items to the pool. Level 1 Evos are staying in the game for the sake of shield swapping, although they are reduced chance of spawning, and it improves the hot drop situation. I think we're going to see people get a little more aggressive at drop as a result of this. How many times do you not take fights because you can't even find a shield? With this, you find a weapon and hey, you're good to go, maybe. So I think we'll see a lot more of that as a result of this change. And it may just be a more enjoyable experience, not having to run around looking for the absolute basics to begin really playing the game. I think this is going to be a fun change. Emotes have been added to the game. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. You are undoubtedly familiar with emotes from a variety of games, so we don't really need to talk about that too much. So, when you are in this mode, you're not going to be able to take advantage of the third-person camera to see an enemy. The enemies will be invisible. So anything that you wouldn't see in first-person view. So be aware of that before you try to cheese it up with that. Now let's talk about some legend updates. Low-profile characters. There is no low profile. That is fantastic. This trait made characters that were harder to hit take an extra percentage of damage. That's no longer the case. That was affecting Wraith, Lifeline, and Watson. So they've messed with the hitboxes a little bit. They're confident they've solved the balance issues. So low profile is gone. That's a big change. Big change. Wraith mains rejoice. Lifeline. No longer deploys a shield for combat revive. But she can now revive 2 players at the same time. Can now cancel active revives in progress to allow your teammates to defend themselves with their knockdown shields. So no shielding while you're getting picked up, but you can still be picked up. She can do it to both players. A lot of people are real upset about this, but I think this is fair. That knockdown shield, that impenetrable knockdown shield that she could use over and over again, was a little overpowered. Her win rate was a little high, and it is a good thing that that is gone for the sake of the balance. Lifeline's been given some buffs to make up for that. Her heal rate has increased from 5 hit points per second to 8 hit points per second, and the deploy time before healing begins reduced by roughly 33%. So she's going to heal faster. That's a big deal. The cooldown on the care package is reduced by a solid minute from 6 to 5. It now guarantees an upgrade in 3 categories: body shield, other equipment, and weapon attachment based on your team's current gear. So These two things combined, I think, are going to be a huge buff for Lifeline. I don't think that you're gonna. I don't think this removal of the shield is going to make Lifeline useless by any stretch of the imagination. Still a very strong hero, and that healing rate, that's a huge deal. That's a huge deal. So that's cool. Overall, Lifeline's been buffed. Octane. Octane. His stim, the cooldown has been reduced between stims from 4 seconds to 1 second. And the cost of stimming has increased from 12 hit points to 20 hit points. So he's going to be taking 8 more damage every time he stims up. But he's going to be able to stim up a lot more quickly. Increase bullet spread while in the air and shooting from the low launch pad trajectory. So when he's using that launch pad, he's not going to be able to quite as accurate. Lope. Lope's getting some buffs, and that's huge. Lope is the one character that I complain about all the time not being in place. She has needed buffs for a while, so this is good to see. Can now run and slide at full speed while aiming the bracelet, and while the bracelet is in the air, she will no longer be slowed after translocating. So what that means is you don't have to slow down to throw the bracelet. Once the bracelet hits the ground, you teleport and you move at the exact same speed as you were before you teleported. So this teleportation is going to happen. It's going to allow her to have a lot more movement while she's teleporting. This is huge. This is going to make this ability actually useful for escaping, actually useful for making some crazy plays in the middle of combat. I think you're going to see the pick rate for Loba go up, which is great. A lot of people love Loba as a character, but the reality has been that she's been weak in combat. But this is a big change, and this is going to be good. This is going to put Loba in a good place. They fixed a lot of bugs that caused the bracelet tosses to fail, and people who have had access to playing this and testing this have had good things to say about it. So it sounds like a lot of the bracelet problems are gone. And to compensate for that buff, the black market cooldown has been increased from 90 seconds to 100 seconds. That's not that huge of a deal. Black market shows up insanely frequently, so this is still fine. Horizon. The gravity lift speed has been reduced by 30%. That Horizon's side-to-side acceleration has been reduced, and the time that she can sit at the top of the gravity lift has been limited to 2 seconds. That's huge. They've increased the cooldown on using gravity lift from 15 seconds to 2 seconds. And her abilities will now get zapped by Watson pylons. All that's a big deal. Let's just read the dev note. Horizon is powerful and popular, but that's not why we're making these changes. We believe that mistakes in Apex Legends should be punishable, and when Horizon could just get herself out of bad positioning while popping a whole battery, this just wasn't true. These changes have 2 goals: make it much more possible for enemies to shoot Horizon as she sits in her gravity lift, and to make gravity lift less of an impromptu tower. This is actually a huge nerf for Horizon. The thing that made Horizon frustrating to engage was the fact that she could just sit at the top of that lift as long as it was up, with an insane amount of movement, maintaining accuracy with that movement. She could get up there and strafe back and forth at an insane rate while she healed. Very hard to deal with. Well, now not so much. She can hang out for 2 seconds and then she's coming right back down. This is good. Horizon needed this. It was very frustrating to engage Horizon in this. That should be a great ability for getting up to hard to reach places, for changing your positioning, for escaping, for attacking. It should not be a thing where you can just hover there forever. This is good. Fuse. We've talked extensively about Fuse, but it's a pretty simple change. He now has 2 stacks of Knuckle Cluster, and the cooldown's been reduced from 25 seconds to 20 seconds. And they say more help is coming, but we want to be very careful how we buff him so that he doesn't just become the legend that kills you with his abilities. And that's fair. So this is going to put Fuse in a much more useful place. I made a video about that earlier. I don't think we're going to see Fuse flap to S tier off of this. I'm curious about what the other help is coming, what that is. I love Fuse. I want to play more Fuse. I'd really like to see a buff to his ultimate ability, but hey, we'll see. We'll see what they do. Bangalore. They've thickened Bangalore smoke. That's significant. Last patch, they optimized the smoke particles and inadvertently thinned them out. It aims to get her back to original visuals while keeping the optimization. So, we'll see. Bloodhound no longer receives assists from Eye of the Allfather. This is a huge deal. And let's read this out. Bloodhound scan is strong, but the goal of this change in particular is to reconsider assists and their implications for ranked points. There's enough intrinsic value in the sonar scans, and it's a slippery slope to consider crediting assists for other non-damaging abilities. Crypto will remain an exception. The active nature of Crypto's drone scan is notably different from the passive option with Bloodhound. This should encourage Bloodhound players to act on the information they get from the scan to eliminate instances where they might try to snag a quick assist without committing to a fight in the same way Crypto has to. So two things about that. One, a lot of people rely on those Bloodhound scans to earn those rank points. That's going away. I'm actually excited about this. This makes me happy in a lot of ways. I love playing Bloodhound. I've always felt a little slimy getting assists off of kills that I didn't damage. I do have a problem with Crypto being able to get assists off of his scans, though. This last line in particular, I just don't agree with it. This should encourage Bloodhound players to act on the information they get from the scan to eliminate instances where they might try to snag a quick assist without committing to a fight in the same way Crypto has to. I would contend that Crypto getting scans and assists off of those scans is not necessarily Crypto committing to that fight. Good Cryptos commit to the fight after the scans. I've played with a lot of Cryptos that are not so good, especially at lower elos. They get their scan, they let you go in and take the fight. They shouldn't be getting assist points off of that. Everyone who scans should get assists, or no one who scans should get assists. These things should be consistent, I think. All that said, with Bloodhound, just make sure you're acting on the information you get quickly. And Hoagie and I've talked about it. I didn't think it was totally unfair that Bloodhound was getting assist points for the scan. That information is super helpful. But I don't think it's necessarily unfair to take that ability away either. It just means you're going to have to get that scan off and actually get involved in the fight. And that's good. Crypto, his drone can now scan and open care packages. That's pretty cool. So you can go see what's in the care package without having to actually risk anything. Pretty neat. And he can no longer use his drone to hijack a respawn beacon that's already in. So apparently, I didn't even know you could do this. Apparently, you could like just sneak in and snipe that respawn from another team. So it's probably good that he can't interrupt that anymore. All right, so we now have a marksman weapon category. We have now changed some weapons to marksman weapons. The G7 Scout and the 3030 are currently in the assault rifle weapons category, but they are a bit strange in that category due to their firing style and some of their handling values. Similarly, the triple take felt a little out of place in the sniper category, because it's the best shotgun in the game, right? With the introduction of the bow-check bow, we felt it was a good time to introduce a new weapons category, marksman weapons. That'll include the G7, the 3030, the triple take, and the bow-check. Weapons in this category are precision weapons that are most effective at up to medium-long range and are the sort of in-between weapons of assault rifles and snipers. This allows us to begin moving the settings of these weapons toward more consistent value for the class, make the settings of ARs and snipers more consistent with less outliers. For starters, we're increasing the movement speed while aiming down sights for marksman weapons. They were at sniper speeds and now will be between sniper and AR speeds. Additionally, we have done some targeted normalization of fire spread amount. So you're going to see weapons that have been moved to this category have some changes to their hip fire spread, and you're going to be able to move a little more quickly with them. It's going to be a big deal for those. Supply drop rotation, and this has been talked about quite a bit. Triple takes going in, the Peacekeepers coming out. Since we're exchanging a shotgun with a marksman weapon, now is a good time to rebalance the drop rates of crate weapons. The Kraber will spawn less often in the early game and more often in the mid game to better accommodate its power. That's great. When you get a Kraber in the early game, it's not right. It's not fair. So that's good. The triple take will be the most common early game crate weapon, with the Prowler being the most prominent late game crate weapon. Fully kitted auto rotation. So you will now find fully kitted Wingman, Bocheck, R99, Hemlock, and Sentinel. You will no longer find fully kitted R301, 3030 repeater, Mozambique, Longbow DMR, and Spitfire. The hop-up pool has been changed. They've added shatter caps, which we've discussed, which make your arrows sort of shotgun-esque for the Bocheck. And apparently that's going to be able to go on the 3030 repeater as well. So it's pretty neat. And Deadeye's Tempo, which increases the firing rate, which goes not only on the Bocheck, but also on the Sentinel. So you'll be able to speed that Sentinel up. And to make room, Hammer Point and Skull Piercer hop-ups are being vaulted. Not be available. Assault rifles, reducing the headshot multiplier for all assault rifles from 2.0 to 1.75. And so they have the freedom to do that a little bit because those things are distinct from the weapons that have the marksman category. The Peacekeeper comes with the precision choke by default, which can be toggled off. So I was hoping that if the Peacekeeper went to the floor with the Mastiff already on the floor, precision choke would not be on it, but I hoped wrong. So it's going to be a meta full of shotguns, my friends. Pellet damage reduced from 10 to 9, reaching time increased by 0.2 seconds, and reload times have been increased. Pellet spread increased in general, and spread when charged increased all charge levels. Quickly loses charge after leaving. So okay, Peacekeeper's coming out. It's getting some nerfs to accommodate the fact that it's not a crate weapon, but you are going to have that choke. The triple take. As a crate weapon, it will come with a 9 ammo clip and 63 reserve ammo. Fire rate increased from 1.2 to 1.3. Time to full charge reduced from 1.1 to 1. Retains charge briefly after leaving ADS. Move speed while aiming down sights has been increased to match other marksman weapons. And increased spread while airborne and sights. The Havoc is getting a little buff, increased recoil controllability early in the pattern, which is a huge deal. The way they nerfed the Havoc a while back was to give it a huge kick right at the beginning. Looks like they're correcting that a little bit. The Spitfire is getting the opposite. It's getting nerfed. It's going to have reduced controllability early in the pattern. Spitfire's been a little too powerful. They're trying to give it a little nerf. And if this doesn't nerf it enough, they're going to hit it again. So the 30-30 gets increased leg damage multiplier. Its move speed while aiming down sights has been increased to match other marksman weapons, faster than snipers, slower than ARs. And this is good. I'm glad to see the 30-30 is kind of getting two buffs, right? The shatter caps are going to be interesting for turning it into a weapon that can be used with a little more effect at a closer range. And this is a small buff, right? The increased move speed and the leg damage multiplier. So making it a little bit better. I think the 30-30 is still going to need a little love after this, but we'll see. The G7 gets the same marksman buff as the other marksman weapons. It's going to be less accurate when hip fired. Now, the Longbow and Wingman are both getting buffs to make up for the fact that the Skull Piercer is no longer in the loot pool. Longbow's increased headshot multiplier is going to go from 2.0 to 2.15, and the Wingman's is the same. This buff makes up for the fact that you can't find that Skull Piercer, but it's going to make the bare minimum a lot more deadly. So if you're getting good with the Wingman, good. That headshot damage is going to be a noticeable thing. Mozambique increased magazine capacity from 4 to 6, moved the lower 2 pellets inward in the blast pattern. So the beak is getting a buff, and people have already been talking about the effectiveness of the beak. People are still underestimating the in its current state. So tightening that lower blast pattern and adding 2 more shots in the magazine, that's going to be a big deal. This is not a joke weapon anymore. The P2020 is getting a buff. Damage is going from 15 to 18, and the firing rate is going down from 8.5 to 6.5. Arc Stars, aim and movement slowdown removed from the initial stick. Sticking someone should feel rewarding, considering it's a rare occurrence that's difficult to pull off. While an argument can be made that getting stuck should be a personal death sentence, the inability to at least relocate and spare teammates follow-up explosion makes it hard to counter against the coordinated. This should help mitigate that without stripping away the satisfaction of hitting the stick. So it's still going to do big damage, but it's not going to like freeze the person in place. A little nerf to the Arc Stars. And here the quality of life updates. Badges are going to be able to be filtered by all or unlocked only. That's good. It's going to be easy to sort through those. When looting death boxes, players can now see health bars for everyone on the team. So that's just a neat little thing to see what people need, be able to tag stuff, see if people start taking damage while you're doing your loot. Challenges can now be favorited. Pressing and holding F2 while in-game will bring up the ability description page for your character. Players can now request better equipment by going to the inventory and ping specific equipment. Your first challenge reroll of the day is now free. Nice. Rerolling your challenges will allow you to choose from either BR-focused challenges or arena-focused. So this is our first like taste of how things are going to have to split up a little bit. as we have 2 game modes in this game. Hollow sprays, quips, and emotes can be favorited. These will be used whenever the player is prompted to do a random emote. That's very cool. There are particular voice lines with Rev that I would rather have more frequently. So that's neat. Club Invites version 2. You can now include what you want to play when you send your clubmates a party invite via the club tab. So trying to roll ranked, you're trying to roll pubs, you're trying to roll arena. Ranked fixed edge cases where an abandon penalty would be incorrectly applied due to server error. Flight path adjustments, removing edge dropship flight paths to prevent matches where large portions of the map receive little to no traffic. Ring update. Ring 4 pre-shrink time reduced from 2 minutes to 1:45. Or shrink speed reduced from 33 close time to 40 seconds. You're going to be waiting less time for Ring 4 to close, but it's going to close more quickly. Ring 5 shrink speed reduced from 20 seconds close time to 40 seconds. So Ring 5 was a very fast closing ring, and now you've got twice as much time to work with. Ring 6 pre-shrink time reduced from 1:30 to 1 minute. So again, less time waiting for the ring to shrink, but then once it does shrink, Ring 6 is going to take more time to close, 20 more seconds. Those are all the things that you can expect in Season 9. A lot of big changes. I'm excited for a lot of these. This is going to be a significant shift for a lot of what's happening in this game. A lot of weapons gaining some usability. The addition of the Marksman class is going to change some of those mid to long range fights pretty substantially. That increase in move speed is going to be huge, I think. Havoc's going to be more usable. The changes to the characters. Bloodhound's not going to be the easy climb character anymore. You're going to have to be able to get into those fights. That's something you got to expect, got to be ready for. Fuse is going to get more usability, but we're going to need to see a little bit more, I think. Horizon is not going to have that frustrating hovering at the top anymore. So if you're a Horizon main, you better be prepared for that. If you're not a Horizon main, you're frustrated by Horizon, it's time to celebrate. Loba, that bracelet, that's going to be huge. We're going to see a lot more Loba play, I believe. Much more useful ability with the changes that they've made. Octane's getting a little nerf. Lifeline's going to be balanced, I think. There's some nerf, there's some buff. All in all, I think she's still going to be in a really healthy place. And no more low profile. So a lot of big changes. I think we might actually see the meta start to shift a bit between all of that and the addition of Valkyrie. I'm really excited for this season. It's going to be good. This is going to be great.